Hey everybody, ramble time again. It is March 18th, and it'll probably be midnight by the time this video is over, and then it'll go uploaded March 19th. Ramble time. I was on the news again for a different reason totally. And I will leave a link in the description box in the doobly-doo so that you guys can see the web version of the story that I was speaking in. And yeah, it's different than the two times that it went on broadcast, but I feel like the web version is the best version of the different things that I saw about my interview that was, chopped up and interspersed into other Omicron news. It was a story about Omicron, the COVID-19 variant, and the stealth Omicron that's coming, the newest variation of Omicron. I'll start by saying this story began as I was doing some other things in my day, and I was already dressed up, ready to go, had already been on my computer with almost the same angle. Right now I'm on my video camera, but on my computer, ready to go, talking to people, and then I get this text, and it's somebody asking me if they could do an interview with me. And her name's Courtney Ann. And, it was kind of out of the blue. And I was like, why am I getting a friend request from this news reporter? Well, you can't talk to people on Facebook Messenger without, being friends with them. And so, yeah. That's what it looked like. And she just asked me, I'm working on a story today about stealth Omicron and what that means for our vulnerable populations and people worried about a possible next wave. Would you want to do a quick Zoom interview with me? And I said, okay. And she said, what time? I'm like, I'm at my desk right now. And so she said, give me 10 minutes. And she sent me a link. I did the interview with her. After the interview, she asked about my vaccination status. And I actually sent her a picture of my vaccine card, and put my finger over it so that, in case she wanted to use that picture, I covered up my birthday. Because, PHI. Don't want to be doxxed too much. She already had my name, and so, yeah. And then she asked what was the longest that I had been basically indoors. And I let her know that, from the beginning of this pandemic through till about October of 2020, I was totally lockdown status, and the first person that I broke that for was I took the receptionist at one of the agencies that I work for a birthday present. And so I told that story not in the way that it was reported back on TV, which was just to shorten that to, at one time, I stayed at home for 7 months. That's what they said. They took all of that story and just condensed it down. They only have a few minutes to work with, right? And everything I'm telling you in this video is the expanded version of that, right? So, this is the boring version that, who wants to hear all this shit, right? But yeah, we talked for a good 20 minutes, I think, and then she took out of that interview like 3 things that I said. And one of the things that I feel like is something that needs to be heard from behind the scenes is in that interview, I did say that one of the reasons why I am not letting my guard down is because just, a month and a half ago, I was running group therapy groups, and in that spike of the coronavirus waves, there was a about 3 out of 12 chance that my clients had COVID. Like, I'd have 12 of them on screen, and 3 of them would have COVID. And so it was really bad. It was going through my population that I serve, DUI therapy. And that's why I decided, this is scary real, the transmissibility of this thing when it comes in these waves. So I'm not going out, right? And during that time, that spike, there was the Western National Stock Show at the Western National Complex. And I said that at least 10 of my clients got COVID just from going to that thing, and that I had sounded alarms, and I told all my clients, be safe, don't go to that. That's a place where you're going to see people catching it over and over again. And that thing went for weeks, and it spread to a lot of my clients that way. So I said this specifically to this reporter, Courtney Ann. And it was pretty long soundbite. It did not make it to the news story. And there's maybe another reason why. Because right after the segment on Stealth Omicron, there was another segment that was part of the news, and that was that the National Western Complex has a home and garden show that's going on right now. And part of that news story was that it's really important sometimes for people to be able to see firsthand and get their hands on these home improvement things. And I'm looking at it, it's like, that's what I was trying to warn the reporter I was talking to about. But I can see why they wouldn't want a soundbite about, public events like that, especially at the exact same venue that I was talking about. They wouldn't want a soundbite like that going out on the broadcast because, they're probably being paid for advertising for that home show. There's packages where you get a new story done about your event, and you get ads, and you get web ads. It's like a total package deal that you can buy as a person who has had a business that was pitched to from these type news agencies. I know that these are package deals where you get news stories done about you. So to have the segment that I was in followed by a news story about that same venue having a different type of show where people are supposed to go to it, like a fair, I just felt like it kind of undermined what my message could have been. But if we're just looking at the segment I was in, I feel that reporter did a good job, right? Especially better with the web version that was a little bit more polished. That was a really good job of just getting the basic facts out there, and what we do know so far. And yeah, right after the home show segment, I kept watching the news. I actually showed up a couple times throughout the night from 9 to 11 was their news. It's like in 30-minute segments, and little bits of my interview happened at 9. Then I was at 9:30. The whole basically what it's linked in the description box, and then there was like a replay at 10:30 where it was a slightly different version of the same thing that played at 9:30, and yeah, so I was watching to see if I would come up again, and so right after the initial segment where I was in it, they had the home show, and then right after that, there was a segment about how travel is opening up again, and it was all about Denver International Airport and how people are flying and they're feeling more confident again, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so in contrast with what would be good for us right now, which is not to let our guards down about COVID, but, I feel like there's different reporters, different competing interests on the same show, so they're telling different stories, and I don't know. I felt like those two were kind of like puff pieces for things that needed to be advertised on the news, and then mine was like they were trying to get a segment with an immunocompromised person, and like how immunocompromised people feel about getting back to pre-pandemic normals, or what they're calling endemic normals. And when she asked me how I was an at-risk person, of course, I've got my Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an immune disorder. But I also said, which did not make the news, that I'm overweight. That puts me at risk. That was the first thing I said, and maybe she's just being nice. I don't know, but I feel like it bears mention. I mean, you can see it, but if somebody's overweight, they're at risk. But also, that I got the flu in 2018, and I was in the emergency room for like 30 hours with this really high fever from the flu, and that told me that like maybe I need to be a little bit safer than everybody else, because I really felt like I was on death's doorstep with that flu in 2018. And so there was more to my being an at-risk person, but again, they had to shorten it for TV. And so just a little bit of that got out, just the part about me having Hashimoto's. And yeah, all in all, I feel like it's a much better experience that I had with this one than when the news just stole my footage of the Waldo Canyon fire and whatnot and put that in their stuff. And instead of crediting me, they credited YouTube. And then there was the time that I showed up on ABC's 2020, completely taken out of context for a story about people who are on ankle monitoring devices. Their story was on committing crimes. My video on YouTube that they lifted a part out of without ever asking me was about an ankle monitor that I found at work, and I was basically dissecting how the electrical connection was made inside of the strap. And they put me in the middle of what I called their clown car of dumbasses, where there was one guy who was trying to slip one off with like butter in the ankle monitor, and one guy was trying to take it off while putting his leg mostly in a freezer so it would act like a Faraday cage. And there's all these other things that people were doing to take off ankle monitors, and they just put a little tiny 10-second clip of me in there with them, which made me by association seem like a dumbass, and was completely not the point of my video on YouTube, but they just needed, examples for their clown car posse of dumbasses. So, the overall point of the 2020 show that week, I felt like it fit the theme of what I was trying to say with my video, was that you shouldn't be trusting your community to be safe because of those ankle monitors, because they could be worked around, and that was their point. But they were definitely not putting me in a positive light in that one. So, like in this story that I was in today, I feel like generally it was good for me, and I think it was a positive message, especially polished on the web version. So go ahead and check it out in the description if you want to. I got on TV again, and strange day.